Good morning, class. Rhea, can we lead the prayer? Okay, Novi, kindly check the attendance and give it to me after the discussion. Now, how are you, class? Okay, before we start our lesson, let us have first a game. Do you want to play a game? But before that, may I ask you if you know the game 4 picks 1 word? Yes, very good. Most of you class know the game 4 picks 1 word. Okay class, let me share to you the direction of the game. I will show a picture on a screen and you will guess the name of it. Is it clear, class? Yes, clear, just like crystal. Are you now ready, class? Here is the first picture. Who wants to answer? Okay, Rhea. Very good, Rhea. And who wants to answer the next one or the next picture? Okay, Janine. Great. How about the next one, Gualbert? Okay. Well said. And how about the next one, Reddick? Okay, very good, Reddick. And how about the last but not definitely the least? Allen. Okay, very good, Allen. So, class, what are the words that we guessed a while back? Yes, very good. Yes, these are the chess pieces. They are the king, queen, bishop, knight, rook, and the pawn. Very good. Now class, based on our first activity, what do you think is our topic for today? Yes, Novi. Very good, Novi. How about Gualbert? Yes, these are the chess pieces. Yes, class. Our topic for today is all about the chess pieces and their movements. Who among you know how to play chess? Good to know that almost all of you know how to play chess. Let us now move on to our lesson, which is the chess pieces and their movements. Let me start discussing the brief history of chess. Can you read, Rhea? Yes. Thank you, Rhea. Okay, class, kindly give an example of chess pieces. Okay, Novi. Yes, the king, queen, bishop, knight, rook, and the pawn. Good job, Novi. Kindly read the definition of the first piece. Ready? Yes. In addition to that, the king is the most important piece in chess. Why king is the most important piece in chess? Ready? Excellent. Understood, class? Next is the queen. Kindly read the next, Janine. Exactly. The queen has combined movement of the rook and bishop. The queen is considered as the most powerful piece in chess. Is it clear, class? Next is the rook. Kindly read, Rhea. Very good. The rook cannot jump over other pieces. It moves along the ranks and files of the board or the chess board. The next will be the bishop. Kindly read, Allen. Correct. In addition to that, the bishop cannot jump over the other pieces. It can capture opponent along its diagonal. Is it clear, class? Any question? If there's no any question, we are now moving on to the next piece, which is the knight. Kindly read, Gualbert. Very good. The knight moves two square away from its original position and a square to its opposite color. And in addition to that, the knight moves just like an L or resemble of L, letter L. Do you understand, class? Last but not definitely the least is the pawn. Kindly read, Novi. Perfect, Novi. The pawn are the frontliners of the chessboard. They usually move one square at a time, except when it's still on the second row of the board. The pawn cannot move can move one or two square. That move is called first move option, or the so-called FMO. Understand, class? Yes, very good. Now that you already know the chessboard, chess pieces, and their movements, is there any question regarding our topic? If none, let us now proceed with the next or with the execution of what we have discussed. But before that, I will play first a video clip presentation about the movements of chess pieces.
Hello, Coach Dad here, and I'm going to show you how to move the pieces in chess. And if you look at it all, it can look very complicated with all these pieces. There's 16 pieces on each side, and it can be a lot to one person. But if we just break it down, it actually is a very easy game to learn. So let's look at it. Now that we cleared up the board, I'm only going to show you 6 pieces in chess. So that means all the pieces that you saw earlier is only represented by all these 6 pieces. So that means if we learn all these 6 pieces in chess, you know how to move the game, you know how to play, you know how the pieces move. We just need to take our time and learn one at a time. So keep your eyes open and pay attention now, okay? The first piece that we are going to learn is going to be called the rook. The rook is a very strong piece. It looks like a castle because it can build walls, okay? So it looks like it can build walls. So I'm gonna start the rook right here. Now the rook can move up and down and side to side. That means it can move up and down and side to side. So if there's a piece right here, we can surely capture this piece and take it out of the game. All right, so we are going to look at the rook. I'm going to draw the lines of the rook right now. The lines of the rook, that means it can go up and down, and it can go side to side. If you actually look at the rook closely, it even has those lines. It's those lines where it goes up, side, down, side, up, side, down, side. The top of the rook even gives you a hint of how the rook moves. Next, here we have the bishop. The bishop can only move diagonally. That means if the bishop is right here, I'm going to draw a diagonal line right here. It can only move this diagonal, and it can only move this diagonal right here. The bishop, if it starts on a dark colored square, it must land on a dark colored square. It cannot cross over the white colored squares to land on a dark colored square. It has to go in a straight diagonal on the color that it starts on. Okay, so there's blue right here. Or if it starts on the white color square, it can also go to the white color square bishop, the other side. Now, if you ever forget how a bishop moves, look at the piece. Even this piece right here, this little slant, shows that it moves in a diagonal. So those are 2 pieces right there. That's a rook and the bishop. Now the next piece that we're going to learn is the most powerful piece in the game. The most powerful piece in the game is called the queen. The queen can move like the rook and the bishop put together. So let's look at this. That means the queen can go up and down, side to side, and diagonal, just like the rook and the bishop put together. So let's look at it again. The queen can move up and down, and side to side, and diagonal. Remember, if it is moving diagonally, it has to stay on the same color square in a straight diagonal. So if you just look at the lines of the queen, she is the most powerful piece in the game because she has so many lines compared to the rook and the bishop or any other piece in the board. So we're going to put that on the side. So we learned 3 pieces so far right here. Now we only have to learn 3 more. The next piece in the game is the king. The king is the most important piece in the game. If you lose the king, you are going to lose the game. You have to protect your king. Now the king can only go up and down and side to side and diagonal, but only 1 square at a time. Let's look at that again. It can go up and down, side to side, and diagonal, but only 1 square at a time. Is very slow. Now the king is wearing a heavy crown on top of his head, and he can't move that fast. He can only move 1 square at a time in any direction. Remember, the king cannot go 2 squares, the king cannot go 3 squares, or even jump 4 squares. He can only go 1 square at a time. And remember that the king is the most important piece in the game. So now we have 4 pieces down. These are the easier pieces to learn. We have only 2 pieces left, and you know how to play the game of chess. They're very easy to learn if you think about the rules one at a time. This is called a knight. Okay, now this knight can move in the shape of a capital letter L. So I'm going to draw a line right here of this L. This is the only way the knight can move, and always in the shape of a capital letter L. So if we point the knight down in this direction, if it has to move in L, we do a certain dance. There's a certain dance to the knight, and we always count. So the knight, you always count this in your head. 1, 2, slide to the side. That means you move 1 square forward, 2 squares forward, then you slide 1 square to the side. Let's look at it again. So we're going to draw the line this way, and the knight is going to go 1, 2, slide to the side. All right, let's look at it again. 1, 2, slide to the side. You can also go like this. 1, 2, slide to the side. See this line? 1, 2, slide to the side. Or you can go 1, 2, slide to the side. And even if you want to go up, if you have trouble moving the knight, you can point the knight in the direction you want it to move to. And you can also go 1, 2, and you go slide to the side. Remember, it always has to move in the shape of a capital letter L. 1, 2, slide to the side. And let's do it one more time. 1, 2, slide to the side. Go 1, 2, slide to the side. Now the knight is the only piece in the game. The knight is the only piece in the game that can jump over other pieces. So we have a row of pawns right here. That means this knight can jump over this piece but still counts the 1, the 2, and the slide to the side. Let's look at it again. It can go 1, 2, slide to the side. The knight does not capture whenever it is 1, 2 jumping over another piece. So even though if there's another piece right here, it just jumps over. 1, 2, slide to the side. But if this rook was right here, then the knight can jump over 1, 2, and capture and stomps his feet on the slide to the side and take that position of that rook. So let's look at it again. This is how a knight captures. A knight captures by going 1, 2, and then sliding to the side and capturing that piece off the board. The last piece that I'm going to show you is called the pawn. Now there are 8 pawns in the game that you start off with. You start off with 8 pawns in the game. So this pawn can only move in a straight line 1 square at a time. That means if it goes in a straight line, it cannot move side to side. It cannot move backwards. It cannot move diagonal to an empty square. It can only move in a straight line. 1 and 1 and 1 and 1. If you never touched a pawn before, if you have never ever touched a pawn and is still in the starting position, you can choose to move it 1 or 2 squares. Let's look at it again. If you never touched a pawn before, you could choose to move it 1 or 2 squares. The moment it has been moved already, you can't move it 2 squares anymore. You can only move it 1. If there is another piece in front of the pawn, that piece is stuck. That means this pawn is stuck and this pawn is stuck as well, because the straight line for this black pawn is going this way and this pawn going this way. It is stuck. So that means this pawn cannot move anywhere. This pawn can't decide to move to empty square diagonal. Pawns do not move to empty square diagonally. Important third rule that we have is if there is a piece diagonal of the pawn, it can choose to capture it. It can choose to capture only 1 square diagonally. So I'm going to draw the lines of attack. That means this pawn can only attack these 2 pawns right here. Just picks this side and takes that spot right there. So let's remember, the pawn, if there's a piece in front of it, it cannot move anymore. It is stuck. It cannot capture this pawn right here. But if there are enemies on the side, whether it's a rook or even a bishop, it can still capture those pieces. So I'm going to draw the lines of attack again to show that this pawn can capture this rook right here. Let's say if the pawn has worked this journey and is working its way all the way 1, 1, 1 and make its way all the way to the last row on the chessboard, it has it has to promote into one of the 4 pieces. A pawn cannot promote into a king and it cannot stay as another pawn. A pawn can choose to promote, more than likely change or promote into a queen, and it has to pick that same spot. It has to pick the same spot that it landed on and then turns into a queen. Or if the pawn comes here, it could turn into a bishop. Or if the pawn makes it here, it could turn into a rook. And lastly, if the pawn makes it all the way to the last row, it could turn into a knight. And that is how all the pieces move. And let's recap. We have the rook. And we have the rook's friend called the bishop. And the queen, the most powerful piece in the game. Next, the most important piece in the game, the king. Then we have the knight, the only piece that can jump over other pieces. And lastly, we have the pawn. Now, if you want to practice moving these pieces, just watch this video again and just move the pieces along.
Okay, are you ready to play? I will give you 3 minutes to get a partner and we will be playing chess board game. Don't worry guys, or don't worry class, I will assist you while playing. Okay, generalization. What are the chess pieces? Yes, no, B. Pawn, knight, bishop, king, queen, and the rook. Okay, what piece is the most powerful in chess? Yes, Gualbert. Yes, it is the queen. How about the piece that most important in chess? Yes. Ready? Very good. It's the king. And lastly, what have you learned on our topic? Okay, Janine? Very good, Janine. Yeah. It is all about the chess pieces and also the chess pieces movements. Ayan, let us now move on to the evaluation or the quiz. The direction of the quiz is, one-fourth sheet of paper, identify the following question regarding our topic. The questions will be flashed in our screen. Yes. In just only 10 minutes. Answer now. Okay. Are you done? Okay, if it is done, can we check now? Yes, very good. Okay. The answers will be flashed on our screen. Okay, class. Very good. Most of you got a high score. But before that, may I ask if there's any question regarding our topic for today? If not, this is all for today. Goodbye and God bless. See you on our next meeting. Okay, your assignment for the next meeting is here. Goodbye, class. Thank you.